I stepped off the plane in Santorini, still lightheaded from the long flight and the champagne I had sipped on board. My dress was wrinkled, my hair tangled, but I was smiling. This was meant to be our honeymoon, our first big journey as husband and wife. I rolled my suitcase through the bustling airport, thinking about the little surprises I had planned. A private seaside dinner, a couple's massage overlooking the cliffs, and a secret sailing trip I booked just for the two of us. But everything shifted when I arrived at the hotel. "Your husband has already checked in," the receptionist said, her tone polite but casual. I blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" "Yes, Mr. Harlan came last night. He's in the villa already." The villa. The private one we had chosen together with the infinity pool and the stone balcony. I walked toward the room, confused, but hopeful. Maybe he had flown ahead to surprise me. Maybe there had been a misunderstanding. I knocked on the door. A woman opened it. She was wearing his shirt. I froze. She didn't even look startled. She simply rolled her eyes and walked back inside. Moments later, there he was, my husband, Callum Harlan, standing in swim trunks, a drink in hand, skin already bronzed as though he had been there for days. "Wait, listen," he began. I turned away before he could finish. Later that evening, I found a note slipped under my door. "We need time apart to think. I didn't want to ruin your trip. Please respect my space." His space? On our honeymoon? I sat on the edge of the bed. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stared. They had been together for years. I found the proof on his old tablet, still connected to his cloud account. Photo after photo appeared. Beach vacations, mirror selfies from hotels, snapshots inside our old apartment, even a Valentine's dinner long before our wedding. The dates lined up like knives. He had been with her while he slipped a ring on my finger, while we planned our vows, while we stood before our families. My friends had tried to warn me. "He's too slick. Why the rush? Doesn't it all feel too quick?" I dismissed them, believing I was the chosen one, the lucky woman who had captured him. But now, here I was in Santorini, alone, deceived, and seething. And I made a decision right then. I wasn't going to waste this view drowning in tears. I was going to destroy him. Back in the room, I lay awake under the slow-moving ceiling fan, the sound of waves echoing from the cliffs below. My stomach was tight, my chest burning. It wasn't heartbreak, it was fury. And fury needed direction. I remembered something. He never bothered to change his passwords. He always laughed it off, said it was too much hassle. So I opened my laptop and tried the same old formula. His childhood dog's name plus his football jersey number. The inbox opened without resistance, like a trap door. My pulse spiked as I clicked on a folder titled Trips, Private. Dozens of files filled the screen. Boarding passes, upgraded hotel bookings, spa appointments, dinner confirmations, all in her name. He had even bumped her to first class on what was supposed to be our honeymoon flight. The spa reservations were booked 2 days before I even arrived. Every date, every plan, carefully aligned. They had flown early. They had stayed in the same resort. They had even used the same private car service I had arranged for us. And worse, all of it was paid from our joint account. My money. I scrolled further and froze. Some packages had been shipped to an unfamiliar address. A jewelry box with an engraved necklace, a gift basket, and baby clothes. Onesies folded neatly. The mistress wasn't just anyone. She was his assistant, Madison. Recognition hit me like ice. She had stood at my wedding, clapping during the first dance, smiling in photos, blending in like a guest. And now she might be carrying his child. That was the moment something in me snapped. Not shattered, but hardened. I wasn't going to drown in betrayal. I was going to arm myself. I opened a notes file and started typing. Dates, bookings, charges, passwords, addresses. A growing arsenal. This wasn't grief anymore. This was strategy. I woke up the next morning with a single, cold objective: make his life a problem he couldn't ignore. First, I booked myself a flight home. 1 seat, aisle, leaving the day before their scheduled return. Quiet, tidy exit. No theatrics yet. Then I opened our joint airline account, the one I'd helped set up for the honeymoon, and used the access he'd never bothered to secure. I pushed their return flight 10 days forward and changed the confirmation email to an address he never checked. I deleted the receipts. I imagined them arriving at the airport with nothing but confusion. Next came the money. I logged into our joint savings, the honeymoon fund we had scraped together. He'd already spent half on spa packages and fancy dinners for her. I moved the remaining balance into my new personal account. Every penny that was legally mine, reclaimed. I froze the credit cards, reported my card missing, ordered replacements to be sent to my own address. I logged him out of the banking app, canceled food delivery profiles, forced his streaming services to sign in again. I even deleted a curated playlist he loved. Petty, but delicious. I filled his cloud storage with one humiliating folder name and a couple of well-placed screenshots. Before leaving the island, I left a note at the hotel front desk addressed to Callum. I sealed it and wrote, "I'm willing to talk." It was bait. If he thought I was nearby and fragile, he might delay leaving, tangle himself up further, give me time. By the time they discovered their changed ticket, frozen cards, and canceled reservations, they'd be stuck. I took a slow sip of a drink at a beachfront cafe and smiled at the sun. Let them panic, I thought. Let them sweat. The night before my flight home, I decided the private route wasn't enough. I opened my social account and began to write. No filters, no flourish, just the facts. Married him 2 weeks ago. Flew to Santorini alone for our honeymoon. Turns out he was already here with his assistant, possibly pregnant, who'd RSVP'd to our wedding and even posed in photos like a friend. I attached photos, screenshots of their messages, the hotel receipt with her name on it, charge slips from our joint card, and a selfie of me alone on the shore holding a cocktail. I tagged him. Then I tagged her. Then I tagged everyone who had congratulated us. His boss, his mother, his sister, his cousin, his best friend. I didn't stop there. She used the same stupid password everywhere. Inside her email, I found an RSVP confirmation for her own wedding. I found her fiancé's profile, a man who looked decent and unsuspecting. I sent him everything. No commentary, just images of receipts and messages. He wrote back almost instantly. Holy hell, thank you. I had no idea. The post spread like spilled oil. Messages poured in from acquaintances, old flames, and coworkers with their own whispered histories. By the time my plane lifted off, I knew he hadn't seen any of it yet. He was probably still imagining he'd gotten away with something. But once he checked his phone, the tags, the DMs, the 800+ likes, the message from his boss, and the text from his mother would all be waiting. He'd be exposed in paradise, where there was nowhere to run and no story he could spin that would stick. 3 days after I landed, the notification I'd been waiting for blinked across my screen. Their return flight was scheduled for today, and made a bowl of popcorn, logged into the airport lounge app where I still had VIP access from the honeymoon package, and pulled up the security feed I had quietly linked to my account. Terminal C, Gate 42. There they were. He looked annoyed, scrolling his phone. She stood beside him, rifling through papers with a blank look. They paced to the counter, gestured at their passports. Airline staff shook their heads. No tickets, no reservations, no seats under their names. Her smile tightened into panic. He started to raise his voice. She fumbled for her phone. No reliable signal. I texted him from my couch then. Hope the weather's nice in Santorini. You're going to be there a while.
On the camera, he froze, mouth opening. He spun in a circle, fingers flying over the screen, then angrily typed. Card declined at the coffee kiosk. His card declined too. The meltdown arrived in full stereo, him shouting, her crying, frantic riffling through bags, accusations flung like knives. I laughed until I nearly spilled my wine. I'd already called the resort and told them their remaining balance wouldn't be covered. I canceled the room, informed them the keycards would deactivate at sunset. Stranded. No money, no cards, no flights, no hotel. Only each other. And a sunburnt island that suddenly felt like a trap. They'd thought they were clever. They'd thought I'd be weak, that I'd disappear. Instead, I watched their collapse in real time from my couch in pajamas, smug and utterly calm. Once I was back home and had slept, I moved to the final phase, law. I booked an appointment with a solicitor and walked in with a folder that could suffocate a small lie. Screenshots, emails, bank statements, receipts, even a short clip from the hallway camera showing them together at the resort. Her expression shifted as she read. "This isn't a divorce," she said. "This is annulment, fraud, straight up. Exactly what I wanted to hear." We filed immediately, alleging infidelity and financial deception, attaching the mountain evidence. The court issued a temporary freeze on our shared accounts. That included his car, the condo, and the stock portfolio he loved to boast about. He couldn't touch a dime without judicial approval. Everything stalled. Meanwhile, I sent a neat, organized packet of documents to his employer's HR department. Not purely for spite, although there was some of that, but because he had repeatedly used company funds on that trip. It was a clear breach of policy. Within days, she was quietly let go. Within a week, he was called in, and the news arrived in an email. Terminated. No drawn-out hearing, just an abrupt end. Rumors spread. Friends drifted away. Group chats went silent. His college meets unfollowed, his best man sent a cold text, family members sent curt messages and blocked him. The cousin joked about karma in a post that went semi-viral. Last I heard, he'd moved back in with his mother. No job, few allies, frozen accounts, and the mistress had cut him loose too.
Love has a funny way of changing shape when the money vanishes. I, on the other hand, was moving forward. With the annulment progressing and the finances separated, I used what I was legally entitled to and upgraded my life. I didn't splurge. I found a bright apartment with big windows and a kitchen that belonged to me. And then I adopted a mutt from the rescue shelter. A tiny thing with oversized ears and a wagging tail who greeted mornings like a hero. I named him Thera. He curled up beside me each night and barked at delivery drivers as if defending a castle. Thera changed the tone of my days. If Santorini left its mark, it would be for what came after. Freedom, growth, and a little pretty pettiness wrapped in fur. People started noticing. A short video, me holding a wine glass and staring out the window with on-screen text that read, POV, he took his assistant on our honeymoon, so I took their return tickets, his bank account, and his career. Hit 1 million views in 2 days. Comments called me a legend, the queen of efficient petty. Requests for the full story flooded in, so I released it in parts. The password hacks, the transfer logs, the airport meltdown, the HR email. The internet loved a clean takedown. Reddit picked it up. The thread on r/pro-revenge blew up. Screenshots spread across platforms. Podcast hosts, YouTubers, and talk shows reached out. I declined most requests, not wanting to build a brand on his collapse, but I accepted a handful of interviews where Thera could come along. Fans dubbed him the Therapup, and strangers joked about merch. On a whim, I put up a small storefront with tees, mugs, and tote bags stamped with lines from my posts. It sold out in a week. Every penny went to the local women's shelter. I didn't need applause. I needed better things from a broken situation. I didn't rush into another relationship. I didn't stage a dramatic comeback. I opened a bank account in my own name, saved deliberately, and used the leftover honeymoon funds that were legally mine to start a small online shop. Everything I made and shipped felt like proof I'd survived and built something of my own. A year later, when I finally felt ready, I booked another flight to Santorini. Same island, different reason. I checked into the nicest suite on my card, wore a silk robe instead of a wedding dress, ordered cold champagne, and sat on the balcony with Thera snoozing at my feet. The sun turned the sea gold. I lifted my glass and smiled, not because everything was perfect, but because I was. I had sharpened and steadied myself. I didn't need revenge anymore. I had already won.
Not long after, I received an unexpected message. It was from Madison. Her first words were, "Hey, I just wanted to say I'm really sorry about everything. I didn't know he was actually married." I rolled my eyes so hard it nearly hurt. Then she followed with a second message. "He lied to me too. I thought you two were only dating. He told me you were toxic, obsessive. I was manipulated." It was the classic script, the mistress-turned-victim narrative. She went on for a full paragraph about women supporting women, about how she'd been crying daily, how she'd lost her job and her apartment, and how all of it was his fault. She wanted sympathy. She wanted solidarity. But I remembered what I had already seen in their messages. The screenshots where she mocked my wedding photos, typing, "Can't believe she wore that dress. She looks like a sad cupcake." The reservations she helped him plan, the fake gift cards she sent us as a wedding present, the photos she posed for with me at the reception, smiling as if she belonged. She had known. She had been in on it from the start. So, no, I didn't respond, not one word. Instead, I screenshotted her messages and forwarded them to the fiancé she had betrayed. He deserved to see her full performance. Then, I blocked her. I didn't feel pity. Not even a drop. She wasn't crying over betrayal. She was crying because her safety net was gone. The money, the job, the illusion. She could rewrite her part however she wanted, but I had already printed the ending in bold. The fallout hit him harder than I could have scripted. The job vanished. Misuse of company funds was a quick exit, especially when HR had the receipts I sent him. His colleagues gossiped. Some even liked my posts. An anonymous coworker wrote, "Everyone here saw it coming. No one's surprised." He was dismissed by email. 2 minutes on Zoom and it was over. Then came the silence from his so-called friends. Group chats emptied, Fantasy League removed him, college buddies unfollowed. His best man sent me a curt, "Good for you. He's always been trash." Even his family turned. His mother, once my supporter, messaged coldly, "We're disappointed. Please don't contact us again." His sister blocked him. His cousin posted a meme about karma. By the time I heard from anyone, he was living in his mother's basement, broke, jobless, friendless, and abandoned by Madison, too. Meanwhile, I thrived. I decorated my new apartment with small joys. I built routines that were mine. Thera and I walked the parks, lounged on sunlit mornings, shared space that was peaceful and wholly mine. I didn't stalk his accounts. I didn't wonder if he regretted anything. Forgiveness wasn't in my plan. Living well was. Months later, as I sat on the balcony of the Santorini suite I had booked myself, silk robe around my shoulders, champagne in hand, dog curled at my feet, I finally understood. The waves didn't change. The sun still painted the sky gold. What changed was me. I had walked through betrayal and come out sharper, calmer, stronger. I no longer cried over lies. I anticipated them. I no longer begged people to stay. I let them go and locked the door behind them. I raised my glass toward the horizon, took a slow sip, and smiled. Revenge wasn't the victory. Survival was. And survival looked beautiful